Hey, so welcome everybody. My name is Trish Ewell. Thank you so much for joining us today for this conversation about return to work. We are joined today by featured speaker, Ms. Pamela Carnes, who has a tremendous background in both business and in finance. As a matter of fact, Pamela, you've been a former CFO.
Yeah, absolutely. I was responsible for a small piece of a big company that was about $450 million. And so my responsibilities included that of a CFO, had about 18 different locations I was responsible for. And all of those, except two were P&Ls, a couple were hubs, and about 450 employees that were a part of that company. So yeah.
And you're the CEO of your own small business right now. So for Carnes Business Solutions, and you are an executive director with the Legalshield Business Solution. So Pamela, thank you so much for taking the time out today in order for us to be able to get together and have this conversation about what it means to small business and small business owners and HR managers that are trying to navigate this whole thing around return to work. So I'm going to go ahead and spend some time in the chat and getting to know our participants. And Pamela, I know you're going to go ahead and get started with today's presentation.
Absolutely. So thank you guys so much for being on today. When Tricia and I talked about this, we really wanted to bring some information to you that could be beneficial, that can help your company, that can actually be resources that can help you relaunch into 2021. And we recognize that we're now, at a point of time where we've all experienced some very interesting times. And our companies are really just trying to figure out how to navigate and how to make sure that not only are we taking care of the bottom line, but that we're also taking care of the people that are a part of our company. And so what I wanted to share with you today was really a way that allows you to address several concerns that your company may actually have, and just basically let you make your own informed decision, right? We're here to make sure that the business community has this information at their fingertips and that they can utilize it if necessary. But listen, if it doesn't work for you or today, it may be something that you can put in your arsenal that you can come back and use at a later time, okay? So welcome again to this event. I'm going to actually share my screen here with you so that you can see just a little bit about who we are, what we do, and how we are helping companies on a regular basis. So whether you are a small company or a large company, I think when we put this out, Trish, we were looking at companies that range anywhere from 25 to 100 employees. And so for that reason, we wanted to just make sure that the information that we're sharing with you today is relevant, right? And so whether you are from a small town or maybe you are a solopreneur and you're just looking at reaching out to other people in order to employ them, or maybe you are a larger company in an urban area, small businesses have big concerns. Wouldn't you agree? And so what we want to do is show you how we are addressing those concerns. We're looking at providing powerful benefits, not only for yourself, but for your families and for your businesses. And so if you are an HR manager on this call today, we have a little bit of something for you. And if you are the owner of the company, we have some information for you as well. Legalshield has been around a very long time. As Trish said, I own and operate a company called Carnes Business Solutions Group. And I developed that company really because it was organically developed. My background in finance and business development and working with a top 50 company really created an opportunity for me to go in and help business owners on a regular basis. And what do I do with that? I help them to become more profitable. That's the primary purpose, is to look at ways that we can adjust and modify and not necessarily lose people to do that, right? Which is what I did oftentimes in my former career, but find ways where we can help them to increase profits. And when I connected myself with this company called Legalshield, it gave me the opportunity to do that and more. This company has been around since 1972. We currently protect 4.4 million lives. And guys, this is what I really want people to understand, is that we're not just addressing the individual needs, but we help 40,000 companies to currently offer this program as a voluntary employee benefit to their employees, mind you, without costing you as a company any money at all, no out-of-pocket costs, unless you choose to. And then we have over 140,000 businesses that currently protect themselves with our business plans as well. What is LegalShield? We're a nationwide network of quality law firms, and you don't have to worry about the high hourly costs when you're utilizing the programs, and neither would your employees. And we've been vetted by companies like Forbes, Yahoo, CNBC, and the Better Business Bureau because we are identifying solutions for businesses, okay? Now we know that 57 million people, 57 million people that are working full time are actually experiencing some type of legal event, especially in the past 12 months, especially because of COVID, right? And 40% of those folks do not seek legal help at all. And that's a problem. We know that the market is ready. We know that there are 90% of Americans that don't have any form of legal insurance. We know that 2/3 of those Americans would actually participate in something if they knew that it existed. So we're sharing this information with you today because we believe that we have solutions for the folks that you are depending on to help you run your businesses every day. For you as the employer, it's going to provide you with the opportunity to reduce your absenteeism, right? Now, why is that important? Obviously, we want our employees to come to work. We want them to be happy when they're there because they're going to be more productive. And we want to obviously decrease any insurance costs that we have. So when you have happy employees, stress and all of those things associated with stress will go down, right? And you also will not increase your liability. Now, what do I mean by that? A lot of times, if you are the C-level management level person in your company, and you experience relationships or have conversations with your employees, naturally, you might start to give advice to those employees, especially if you've developed really great relationships with them. Well, that actually takes on additional liability for your company. And why is that? Because the moment that a recommendation or suggestion is given by one of your C-level employees to someone else in the organization, if that doesn't work out in their favor and they decide to sue the company because that can be perceived as company suggested information, then that's going to put your company at risk. Okay. So our motivation is to make sure that you don't assume a lot of risk. And our program is going to help you do that. We reduce the risk. We help you to attract and retain valuable employees. And today, people need more today than they did in the past. As we've gone through 2020 and the pandemic, we know that there are still reasons that people either don't want to come to work or they don't want to do the job that you've actually hired them to do because of fear, not necessarily for any other reason, but fear. But we want to make sure that you're able to protect your company, that you see a positive impact on your bottom line, and that you provide peace of mind for yourself and for your employees, right? And why is that important? Because we're all in the business of making money. We know that you are here to increase your profits. We know that you're here to sustain your businesses and to grow your businesses. And we want to help you save time and money and have it be done at no out-of-pocket cost to you. Now, ask yourself this question. Have you or your employees ever thought about asking a legal question? Now, obviously, the answer to that is yes. What about preparing their wills? Do most of your employees have their wills prepared? Do they receive traffic tickets? Do they sign contracts? The answer to those questions would basically be yes, always. These are things that are everyday life events. They're not necessarily major legal issues, but they're everyday life events that your employees tend to try to navigate by themselves because most of the time they are intimidated by just the thought of picking up the phone to call an attorney. A lot of times they don't know who to call, or they just simply believe it costs too much money. And then ultimately what they do is they try to ignore the problem or handle it on their own or ask, again, one of your C-level managers and get opinions there. And at worst, they try to Google it. So what our motivation and goal here is to educate you about why they need Legal Shield, right? Why is it important for your employees so that they don't have to worry about the high hourly costs? They basically pay one flat monthly fee. It gives them unlimited access to a number of benefits that I'm going to talk about here briefly, but it also gives you peace of mind and it reduces your costs. Because see, every time an employee is off work for what we uh, call slick time, right? So it's not sick time, and but they need to still take the time off, right, to handle personal issues. We call it slick time in the industry. Every time they do that, it still costs you money. Wouldn't you agree? You're paying because you're paying the benefits associated with them being off of work, and then still you need to have that work done. So our motivation to go again is to help both you and your employees. So how does the benefit actually work? Well, we have an app that when any of the employees elect to participate in the program, they would download to their phone once they've activated their account. They get unlimited personal access to the attorneys. And the way it works is we have a provider network, as I said, in every state. There's a dedicated provider law firm that your employees would contact. When they have issues, they pick up this phone, they tap the app that says call my law firm right there, and they're able to get unlimited advice on unlimited issues. They can call once a week, once a month, once a year, however often they call, they never get an extra deduction or an extra bill in the mail, okay? And that's for personal legal advice. But when they contact the law firm, they're going to get several pieces of direction. The attorney is going to make a decision of whether or not they need to write a letter or make a phone call on their behalf, or maybe they just give them the advice and counsel that they need to navigate their personal situation. Whatever it is, that is inclusive in the cost that they would pay for the membership, because it passes through directly to the employee unless you choose otherwise. We have it priced at such a point where it's very affordable and less than $1 a day for your employees, okay? When your employees have issues with contracts and documents, maybe they are about to buy a home and they have residential documents that they want to have reviewed, they can have contracts and documents up to 15 pages reviewed at no additional cost outside of the membership. And then this will part, this estate planning part, I think is so valuable because 9 out of 10 people, 7 out of 10 people do not have their estate planning documents done. 7 out of 10. And when you think about that, you probably know employees who might have uh, died prematurely and their families were left in a situation that was really, really uncomfortable, where you get to help them with that. You get to provide them with basically the access to get those documents done, right? And it's no additional cost outside of their membership. They also get to update those documents every year, again, at no out-of-pocket costs. And that's important because things change. Maybe they buy a new home. Maybe they want to take a kid out of the will. I don't know. But whatever they do, they have the opportunity to do that within their membership. And then we have traffic related issues. If they ever have a moving traffic violation and they're driving clean, then they have the ability for the attorney to go to court for them, to represent them or with them, depending on if they live in the area. And I say depending on if they live in the area because our program is nationwide, right? We're in all of the US and all of Canada. So they literally could be on vacation somewhere and they get a speeding ticket. Typically, you'd have to come back when 3 or 4 weeks later to go to court. Now they have to take off work from your job to go to court, right? Well, if they're a part of the Legal Shield plan, they don't actually have to do that. They typically have the attorney in that specific state or that specific county where they got the ticket. They would be able to go to court for them without them having to take off work and go to settle that issue. That's pretty phenomenal. Now, we don't fix tickets, let me say that, right? But our attorneys are there to try to make sure that fines and fees don't attach to the person's license, and therefore it's going to save them money in the long run. Then if they're ever audited by the IRS or if they are ever sued civilly, they have an attorney's time available to them for that. And then, of course, we have family and domestic services. This is super important to most of your employees because what if there's an uncontested adoption, divorce, separation, name change? Those are things that are going to be covered under the plan. This is the only part of the plan that actually um, you have to wait until day 91 for that to become effective. Everything else starts from the day that your employees actually participate in the plan, right? And unfortunately, again, because of the environment that we're in, we know that divorce rate has increased, unfortunately. So this may actually be a very valuable benefit for your employees. And then everything that I haven't spoken about specifically would be covered under the 25% preferred member discount. We believe that basically your employees would never have to pay full price again for an attorney. And that's even going to cover pre-existing issues, okay? Now, if your employees have access to their phones, they have access to their services. So again, it gives them the opportunity to make that quick phone call and turn their issues over to someone that can help them and then be productive while they're at work for you. So which would you choose? Are you gonna spend $250 an hour or less than $21 a month in order for them to get the kind of protection that they need, right? So Trish, what do you think about that? That's a part of the first part of our program where affordable access just makes sense, right?
Yeah, I think, it's really funny because when I found Legal Shield as a business owner, I was actually working on an intellectual property and a contract. And the attorney, and I actually have a background in law firms. I spent a decade actually working in IT and information technology in law firms. And so I was working with an attorney at the time who was $650 an hour on the contract that I was negotiating with a client. And I just like I couldn't believe it. Like when I found out about Legal Shield, like I just couldn't believe like I could have access. So now that's one of the benefits that I use as a business owner all the time is that now my contracts as a matter of course just automatically go to my Legal Shield provider firm. And I'm here in Chicago. Like I'm in Chicago and my firm is in downtown Chicago. And I think that's the other big deal about this is that it's you get access to attorneys across different practice areas. So I was just actually sharing in chat a couple of minutes ago, like I had questions about taxes and filing taxes leading up to, last week,
Mm-hmm.
where it was that, we had loans and grants and so on and so forth as a business owner and like, information about that. And then also with the work that I do in digital technologies, I've also often had questions about the different laws that are changing around privacy and data with employees and with other, business dealings. So it's really benefited me a lot. But Pamela, you're not only a business owner, and not only again executive director with Legal Shield Business Solutions, but you're a
Mm-hmm.
mom. And you're a mom too. So how are you using Legal Shield in your business, and how are you using Legal Shield in your personal life, in your family life?
Gosh, that's a business all in itself, right? And she said, I'm a mom. I'm a mom of five, by the way. So if
Right.
any of you are out there and
Five.
you're like, oh my God, five, yes, they range from 15 to 33. And actually, when my husband came home with this service 16 years ago, that's how long we've been members, 16 years ago. He thought it was something that we needed. Now, again, we have 5 kids. So I'm like, are you sure? I thought right away that, yes, this is something that we could use. But at the time, obviously, just I really wasn't, um, it wasn't something common that I did. I didn't frequently call an attorney except for major situations. And so when I saw it, I thought, well, you made a good purchase decision. This makes sense. It was about 2 months later that I had an issue with my car and a warranty. I had an extended warranty, took the car to get just some basic work done. Of course, it came back with 4 or 5 different things that needed to be fixed. And I thought that they should be covered under my extended warranty, and they didn't agree. So I was going back and forth with the shop. My husband said, Pam, you have Legal Shield. He had to remind me because it just wasn't common for me to pick up the phone and call an attorney, right? But when I did, they said, send over your work order, send over your warranty because they review contracts and documents. And based on that, decided that they would write a letter to the shop that ended up saving me $2,500 because the attorney read the same warranty that I read and thought that the work should be covered. But with my conversation with the mechanic didn't work, right? But because the attorney wrote a letter with on the legal letterhead, all of a sudden he decided to make it a priority and he fixed my car and didn't charge me extra. So I have had time and time and time again those types of situations with myself as well as with my family. We actually moved here to Texas. I'm in Houston, Texas, by the way, audience, and we moved here about 2.5 years ago. And we purchased a home. And instead of me just signing off on the real estate documents, I had them sent over to the law firm. We spent about an hour on the phone. We went through those documents in fine detail. The attorney was actually able to identify errors in the documents that saved me 0.25% on my rate. Now, my background is finance and business development, so I read things pretty thoroughly. And this wasn't our first time purchasing a home at all, but the benefit of having a real estate attorney look at those documents served us very, very well. So, it's been a huge benefit to us, Trish. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on a little further. We know that we have issues that came about because of COVID, right? And so while that's been a very prevalent part of everybody's life over the past several months, 15, 16 months now, we have a COVID resource center that you can access so that as a business owner, you can establish, you can get your questions answered about how to deal with COVID related issues. Do your employees have to come back to work today? Do you have issues related to legal documents or hospitalization? Or what if your employees are saying that, they do have COVID, right? Even yet today, do they have to actually, do you have to provide them with benefits to allow them to stay off? Now, a lot of times you have that information, but the application of that is always where people tend to call our law firm so that they can get more clarity, right? When the information comes out from the systems, right? When the instructions come out, doesn't necessarily mean that all of our businesses know exactly what to do. So if you have questions like that, you're able to get those questions answered. Now, the other part of our program is called our ID Shield by Legalshield. It's our identity theft program. And this part of our program is super important. They're literally for the last 16, 17 years, this has been the #1 white collar crime in the country, okay? Identity theft. If you've ever been a victim of identity theft, you already know that it takes a lot of hours, a lot of time in order for you to rectify that, in order to restore yourself back to pre-theft status. And criminals are getting so smart, right? I mean, think about how long we've been at home. It was bad in a good economy. It's even worse in a bad economy. So ask yourself, do your employees deal with identity theft? Are they worried about being a victim of that? Absolutely. Unemployment claims is the #1 reason right now that people are calling our law firms because of the identity theft that's going along with unemployment claims. Now it's sad, but it's so true that just, we would hope that people would take all of that brain power and do something positive, but that's not always the case. Okay. So if you've ever had any of your personal information exposed, which we all have, I like to say, whether you shop at Target or whether you shop at Nordstrom's, our data has been exposed, right? Whether you are the janitor of the company or the CEO of the company, our data has been exposed. And so a lot of times we are fearing the fact that our information exposed and it's being used. And when that happens, our victims of identity theft, they're under stress again. They have to take off work to get those things resolved, and they are less productive when they're at your jobs. Okay. And so we want to focus on making sure, again, that we decrease absenteeism and that we help the employees where we can so that they can be as productive as possible for you. Right? So what does our ID Shield program do? It is actually the #1 rated company by Forbes. If you can Google that and find out, ID Shield is #1 according to Forbes in this space. And with our Identity Shield program, guys, we're going to monitor and give alerts for everything that's important to your employees. We also will notify them if a sex offender moves into the area, and they can have up to 10 different credit cards, 10 different bank accounts. But I want you to understand this, that identity theft is a lot larger than just our credit. It's a lot larger than just the bank accounts, right? In fact, banks do a phenomenal job at notifying you when there are issues. But all of those other reasons, like your social security number, your passport, your driver's license, all of those are reasons as well that you want to have your identity monitored and protected. Okay, you can see here on the right-hand side gives a little bit more detail about that ID Shield program. But what makes us different from every other Identity Shield program out here is restoration. That's what our company does. We're going to restore your employees or you back to pre-theft status so that you don't have to spend the 600 hours that it typically takes for that to be done. We connect you with a licensed private investigator. They do all the work on your behalf. And there's even $1 million worth of insurance in place in the event that there is financial exposure. Okay, so that again is going to give you and your employees peace of mind. We currently now also have an ID Shield program for your business. And guys, the ID Shield program for your business, it's going to really do a lot regarding your cybersecurity. It's going to make sure that everything is tracked and monitored so that if you and the information that you're housing in your company on your customers, on your vendors, that that information is not exposed and that you have the assistance that you need in the event that it is. Now, who's covered under these plans? A lot of times, obviously, you want to know that who's covered, right? Well, under the legal plan, it's going to basically be the entire family. So a person like me with 5 kids, I was super excited when he said, it's one price, Pam, for all of us. And I thought, that never happens. Like, I'm never able to do anything with 5 kids for one price, right? When I put cell phones on my account as they got older and everybody wanted a cell phone, I had to keep increasing my cell phone bill. So I love the fact that Legal Shield is basically one price for an entire family. It's going to cover the member and the member spouse. It's actually going to cover any never married dependent children up to the age of 26. And even if they've gone off to college, it's still going to protect them as well. And then if you have children that you're the guardian of, it's going to cover them up to the age of 18. And then any physically or mentally disabled children, they will be covered for life, as long as they live in your home. Now that's phenomenal, Trish. My godson is on the autism spectrum, and he's only 5 years old, and his parents have had to utilize Legal Shield to make sure that he's gotten the services that he's needed, even in his just 5 years of life so far. So I can't imagine how important that would be for someone that does have children who are physically or mentally disabled. And then on the ID Shield side, it's going to cover the entire family as well, but it's going to cover the kids up to the age of 18. And you can actually have 10 children on the ID Shield plan. Now, after 18, what happens is they're considered credit adults. Now, I like to tease and say that, you know, sometimes they're grown kids, but they're considered credit adults. And so at 18, they actually would need their own Identity Shield plan. But if between 18 and 26, they don't have a plan, they will still be able to use the restoration if they become a victim. Okay, so that's pretty incredible as well. And then, of course, we have a plan for just the individual. We also have something called member perks. Love this part of our program because it helps to offset the cost for the employees that participate in this program. And our families save anywhere from $40 to $50 a month in member perks. And you can see here that the companies that are represented under member perks, there are about 400 companies, by the way. They're name brand companies. So whether it's travel or groceries, or maybe you're buying a car, your Verizon bill, your AT&T bill, we've had people who have used our member perks save $400 or $500 on television through Samsung. Right? You're going to buy the TV anyway. You might as well get a discount. when you're doing it. And again, big family, love discounts. All right. Even if I was an individual, I would love discounts because it just makes good purchasing sense, right? So I just wanted to also give you an idea as well on the small business itself. And a small business is anything up to 200 employees, right? As a small business owner, we know that small businesses have big business problems. And so not only do we have something that can address your employees, but we also have solutions for your small business itself. Now, you may have an attorney that's an employee or on retainer for you. So we would tell you to continue to utilize that person for your big issues. But what about the everyday things that you need to call an attorney for that you might otherwise decide not to, right? Simply because, again, it goes back to cost. And so we have programs, and there are about 3 or 4 different programs. We basically customize this program to fit your needs, where you can get the business consultation that you need and advice that you need. You can call them as often as you need to and speak with an attorney specific about issues related to your business. What about designated consultation? What that means is if you're in a position where you're trying to identify and put together some copyrights or trademarks, you get the consultation for that as well. We, of course, review your contracts and documents up to 15 pages, up to 25 pages actually for the business, 15 pages for the personal. Now, why is that important? Now, you might be saying, well, I already have my contracts and documents in place. That's okay. We'll even review the ones that you already signed so that we can make sure that we limit your exposure, or at least um, share with you what your exposure might be, okay? Oftentimes we are running so fast as a business owner, running so fast that we put together our documents or we sign off on documents that we really have not viewed for ourselves, or we haven't had an attorney to review to make sure that we're personally covered, right? Well, um, here's an opportunity for you to get your contracts and documents reviewed and not have to worry about an hourly cost, okay? And then, of course, letters and phone calls for you. Then we have debt collection letters. Now, I love this part about our business plans because we recognize that there are a lot of people who are carrying aged receivables simply because they are not able to collect and they don't have any recourse. And you don't want to go out and hire a collection agency to do it. So our attorneys will write initial debt collection letters for you um, every month, right? So how many do you get will depend on the plan that you think is appropriate for you. And then of course we have interstate coverage as well. So most of our businesses these days, we're obviously doing business not just in our backyard, but we're going across state lines. And so you want to make sure that you're protected across state lines as well, okay? Now, what are some of the reasons that small businesses have legal issues? And I wish we could do this interactively because I know you guys have a ton of them that you're thinking about, right? But debt collection is probably one of the top ones, contract review as well, right? But what about contractor and supplier issues? You ever have any contractor and supplier disputes? In my old world, my old job, when I was CFO of, $450 million company, it was a very large company. In fact, I'll just tell you, it was General Electric, and I wasn't CFO of all of GE. That's why I said it was a small part of a big company. Um, but in that time, as the CFO of that piece of my business, we dealt a lot with contractors, obviously. And seems like the smaller the contractor, the more issues that they had because they didn't have the resources necessary in order to address those issues. And so I submit to you today that if that's you, you want to have the kind of support that you need and not have to worry about basically breaking the bank. Okay. Internet security breaches, again, another one of our reasons that small businesses love our plans. And then, of course, what if you have product liability issues? Right, that happens. Maybe you've shipped some product off to a customer. It arrives. It's according to everything that you know, it arrives in the manner in which you shipped it, but you now have a dispute with your customer saying that it was broken or it wasn't in the packaging it should have been, or it wasn't the product that it should have been, and now you have a dispute. So you sometimes need help with that. Of course, you have HR employee related matters, and then of course tax issues as well. So we just want to encourage you that, these are solutions within this one company that are available that can truly make your life easier, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is make your life easier. Now, why would you want to offer these plans to yourself? Why would you want to participate? Why would you want to offer them to the employees? Well, they're going to appeal to everybody, quite frankly. Now, you will have some that won't participate, and that's expected. But when we are given the opportunity to explain to the employees how to utilize these services, it actually makes a tremendous difference in the participation rate. A lot of times I run into companies and they say, well, we've shared a lot of information with our employees before, and they never tend to participate in anything. Well, I will tell you that those very companies, and again, we have about 40,000 that we currently offer this through as an employee benefit. Those very companies will tell us we've never seen so many people participate in a voluntary benefit than what we've seen with you, LegalShield. And that's because we're addressing everyday life events. That's because it's affordable. That's because for the legal plan, it literally is less than $1 a day. We would actually talk with you individually to figure out which package makes sense for you. But in general, depending on the size of your company, you can actually offer this to your employees anywhere from $19 a month to about $24 a month for that legal plan. That's right. That's what I said, a month. I know it's going to be the least cost benefit that you're offering, right? And that's without you even paying any of the fees for the employees. So we are talking about an extremely affordable option for you. Maybe you haven't started offering benefits at all. And if that's you, then this is a great way to start, right? This is a great way to start because, again, unless you choose to fringe the benefit, it's at no out-of-pocket cost to you. Now, we have had several companies, especially in light of all of the identity theft issues that are arising, that have just said, listen, just cover all of my employees, and they actually pay the bill. Now, why do they do that? Because Identity Shield is going to range your employee depending on whether it's an individual or a family. It's going to also range anywhere from $10 a month to about $22 a month, depending on which option you select. Again, incredibly affordable, right? So if that is something that you're interested in, we can definitely have additional conversation about that. But a lot of employees simply just pass it on. And because it's so affordable, employees tend to participate, right? And we have high utilization. We guarantee the issue. There are no claim forms. There's nothing like the traditional benefit that you would have with medical or dental. And it's an easy implementation and simple administration. It's very, very simple. We basically can do this with you through payroll deduction, or you can opt to have your employees pay directly. But when it's through payroll deduction, you do the deduction as you normally would. We send you one invoice per month for those employees that are participating. It's just that simple. And we will become your go-to people, your account reps for life, right? We're the ones that will help you navigate through any situations that you have, and then make it very easy for your employees to participate as well. You actually have a co-branded website that you can point your employees to, and or we can connect with your broker, because we work with brokers as well, so that they can also be a part of the process, and we can take it through your traditional methods. Okay. Well, that's it really, because the administration part I've kind of already talked about. I will say this, there are no contracts, right, between LegalShield and you. So it is a portable and rate stable program, meaning the rates are not going to go up when your employees decide to participate. That is one of the pieces that I love, Trish, because every time I go in and do an employee enrollment, everyone else on the panel is typically increasing prices for medical and dental and vision, right? I get to stand up there every time and say, listen, guys, we're going to give you some additional benefits, but your rate is stable. It is the most phenomenal feeling ever to really be able to help people in that manner and not have to increase costs in order to do it. And why are we able to do that? It's because of that collective bargaining power. Okay. Now, one thing I will point out, and it says it here on the screen, is sometimes I have employers who are concerned about whether or not the employees can use it against them. And the answer to that is no, they cannot. Even if they leave your company and it's 3, 4, 5, 10 years later, LegalShield will always know that they secured this membership through you as an employer. And so they will not be able to call their law firm through LegalShield and use it against you. Now, can they go outside of your company and hire an attorney? Absolutely. Can they go outside of this membership and hire an attorney? Absolutely. Right. But that's why we encourage employers to offer it as a benefit, because when they participate as an employee benefit, it gives you kind of a leg up, right? All right. So there's no underwriting either. Well, I appreciate the opportunity here today to be able to share with you this information. And we want to make sure that we get your questions answered and absolutely schedule like a one-on-one with you so that we can really see if this is a good fit for your organization. Trish, you have anything that you want to add at the end here?
Yeah, I was really incredulous, again, when I stumbled upon LegalShield, and again, I have worked in big law for a number of years in a past life, and I just didn't believe that this existed. As a matter of fact, the minute that I learned about LegalShield, like I contacted friends of mine, one friend of mine in particular who actually writes for the Yale Law Journal, and I was like, this is fictitious. Like, I've never heard of this service before. I didn't know that these guys were out here. Like, this sounds too good to be true. And I was impressed that it vetted out. And now, a couple of years in, and being able to use LegalShield myself, both for my business and for personal matters. I mean, one of the first things that I did when everything started happening with the pandemic was I made sure I had my own advanced directives, my
Mm-hmm.
advanced directives for health, and then like I was reaching out to friends and family and going like, we need to make sure that we've got our paperwork in place, especially at the beginning of all of this when we didn't understand
Right.
what was going on and really what the risks were. I mean, so just and I was saying in chat earlier, it could be big stuff and it could be like just the little stuff, and it's that little
Right.
stuff that we just don't even know what to do with. Like when you were talking before about the car warranty, but that's the kind of stuff that just wears us down. It wears us down as consumers. It can wear us down in our personal and our family lives, and it can wear us down as business owners too. And now I've changed my entire workflow as a business owner in that all my contracts automatically just go to the law firm. I've got 2 of them that are pending with the law firm right now, and I can't believe the response time. Like, it's within 3 days that I actually connect with the attorney and literally walk through the contract, clause by clause, line by line, and get questions answered. So I honestly, I've been astounded by this whole thing. So yeah, and I really appreciate your time today. So I know that we've got folks on the line here, and I was asking questions in chat, but I'm curious what questions folks still have. I know, Pamela, you offered to meet with people one-on-one after this session to be able to talk about their unique situation and their unique needs. How is it that they
Mm-hmm.
can reach out to you in order to be able to do that?
That's a great question. My number, and I can pull it up as I'm speaking here, but you can reach me at resources@carnesbsg.com. Again, and I'll put it in the chat here so that everyone can see it. Resources, carnesbsg.com. And I'll go ahead and add my phone number. Okay. Yeah, I would love to talk to get feedback even, whether you think it's a program that's beneficial for you or not. Would absolutely love to get feedback. And if you know others that we can help, we certainly want to be able to do that as well. So please take a picture of the chat there. I just put my carnesbsg.com, resources@carnesbsg.com. That's my email that you can reach me at. and 510-589-7603.
Thank you for that. And I'm just going to open it up again to our participants today. Questions like, how can we serve you today? What can we answer for you? And I'll even ask, has this been helpful?
Yeah.
What's your number one takeaway from today's presentation? I think what I've really been surprised about, and what I'm beginning to learn more of, because the whole thing with the cybersecurity protection for business, like that's brand new with Legal Shield, isn't it? Like it's not very old at
30 days
all.
old.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not
It's
particularly
brand
old
new.
at all. It's brand new.
Yeah, but it's been in the making for a long time. Of course, we've had the ID Shield program for individuals and families since 2002. And so, as the business community started to experience more of the breaches of data, um, and then the small business community, of course, you're like, what do we do? Big companies have issues. Of course, small companies are going to have the same issues. As far as even the computer systems, right? When you think about that, when we're using our computers as small business owners, or even a company with 100 employees, what's happening in your system, right? The minute that there's a data breach for a small business owner, that's all. It's something that could actually cause a lot of havoc in your business. Obviously, again, it goes back to resources. So 30 days ago, Legal Shield announced that we now have ID Shield for businesses, and we're all super excited about that because cybersecurity is a big issue. It's
Well,
a
and that's
really, really
even,
big issue.
and I've had this happen. I mean, I have a website that sells information products that have nothing to do with the topics that we're talking about today, but it got hacked, and it got hacked with Trojan virus. And so it had malware on it. So when people were
Mm-hmm.
actually coming to the site, even if they didn't put in even if they didn't shop, but if they had just visited, this is a couple of years ago, if they had just visited the information pages, there was a chance that it would automatically download the malware to their computers. And it was the same kind of
Right.
thing, right? Like so now you've got to clean it up, right? So as a business owner, you find out about it, you're shocked. And then now
Mm-hmm.
you've got to figure out how to get it off of there so it doesn't do it anymore. But then you're like, oh my gosh, like how many people is this impacted? And what is that doing to our brand and reputation? And all of that kind of stuff. And so this is, yeah. So I've been really
Yeah.
impressed again in hearing, that Legal Shield has come out with this as a new service and a new part of coverage, because and that's also picked up as part of what's been happening around the world today. Is part of it is that we know that computers to some degree the price points have dropped down, and the hackers have gotten better at being able to target a lot of small businesses and not just the big guys anymore, because they've got access to resources in order to be able to do that, including computing power and bandwidth and all the rest of it, that they can actually inspire more attacks. And that's why we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
a rise in cybersecurity and data breaches with small businesses. Is they don't have to, they've got more resources, like we've got more
That's right.
resources, and then that's become a bigger issue. And especially now too with the phishing problems, and what you were just talking about a few
Mm-hmm.
minutes ago about the false filings under stealing people's identities with
Yeah.
unemployment. All of that kind of stuff is just a
It's
real problem.
crazy. It's really crazy. But think about it though, when you have states that have data breaches,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? That's why I say if anybody ever tells you that they can keep you from becoming a victim, I mean, that's not true, right? The question is, what do you do in preparation, right? What do you do in advance of the issue to make sure that if it happens or when it happens,
Right.
that you're prepared? That
Right.
you're prepared. I mean, it's the
Right.
same reason that we have auto insurance
Right.
on our cars, right? And listen, you don't actually want to get in a car accident, but you pay that
No.
$250 every month to have auto insurance, right? So it's the same thing. And when we see companies, I've heard recently, just literally right up the street from me, they put out in my neighborhood, they were like, don't use this particular gas station,
Right.
And I said, why not?
Yeah.
Because the person had been hacked. They swiped their card at that particular gas station. They went and got it resolved, worked with their bank, got new cards, went back to that gas station, and that's when they realized it's here. This this is the place that's doing it. Now, did the business owner know that? Maybe, maybe not, right? Probably not. Because why would they jeopardize that, right? Why would they jeopardize their business? But here it was just, and then all of the sensitivities around, you know, technology is great. Technology is great, but listen, it is a part of the reason that hackers are as successful as they are. And I wouldn't go backwards. I would definitely keep the technology. You just got to make sure you put the proper um, things in place that you don't have to worry. So I go to bed at night and my clients go to bed at night without worry. And
Right.
that's, for me, that's super important. I'm already worrying about what? At least 5 other people in this world. I can't be worried.
6
I
if you
can't
count the
be
husband.
right. I got 6 kids. That's what I should have said.
Right. And yourself, so 7. So there's really, so there's kind of a growing list there.
Let me tell you. But just really being able to protect families, and I
Yeah.
didn't say this in my old background as a CFO, and especially back then, if anybody was familiar with really our brand within that company, it was you're number one or number two or you're out,
Right.
right? So when we were working at the C level in that environment, if we were not number one or number two, guess what we were doing? We were downsizing and right sizing and taking people out. And so I just really enjoy right now the opportunity to be able to help people, to really
Yeah.
be able to give them something that they need. And sometimes they don't even know that they need it because they've never seen it. They've never seen such a program that can be so affordable yet provide so much value.
Well, and I didn't realize either. And again, so I know Legal Shield also beyond the small business solutions also works with some of the mega corporations as well as far as employee benefits and comp, right? So and it was really interesting. But Legal Shield, out of the competitors in that space in serving the big corporates, they don't have there's no one else that's serving at this level with the small business, right? It's only Legal Shield that's offering the small business solutions. And when I started again speaking with friends of mine who work for big corporates, they didn't realize that they had this as a legal benefit from either Legal Shield or one of the
Mm-hmm.
competitors in one of the big corporate
Mm-hmm.
spaces.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got friends that are going through some really big family issues that I would have never thought would have been covered under a benefit like this, like
Right.
immigration, those types of things. And it's covered. Like
Yeah.
I just really been impressed. I mean, as an employee benefit, and you were talking about before, I mean, at this point in time of being able to attract good people, being able to retain good people, being able to provide, a benefits and compensation package that's really competitive. I just heard, what was it? It was a restaurant that was offering like a $2,500 signing bonus for wait staff because they
Mm-hmm.
just in their
They
particular
can't get
location
people.
they can't get people, right? So
They
yeah, I
can't
mean,
get people. And there are a lot of reasons why that's existing. So as
yes,
soon
oh
as they get all
yes,
of these other stimulus things adjusted, then that'll change. But yeah, they can't get people. So you
yeah.
got to have something that's going to attract people and retain them to your company. And we do. You mentioned that, Trish. I'm glad you did. It's not just about the small business for Legal Shield. We actually offer this to hospital systems and um, police departments and school systems and school districts, right? So Mayo Clinic, even, right, is one of our companies that offers this as employee benefit. And so what Legal Shield has done, though, is become the go-to for the smaller company
Right.
because we don't have anyone that competes with us in that space. And so that's
Yeah.
where I love it again because I can go into a conglomerate, or I can talk to a mom and pop shop, and I can help them just the same. Um, and I love that about what we do, about what we do. Absolutely.
Well, this is fabulous. And and again, I so appreciate you investing the hour with us today. I so appreciate our participants coming and hearing about what's happening in this particular space. And I know we've got some resources that we've promised to share with people that we will go ahead and email out after this
Mhm.
session to make sure that they've got access to the resources and the takeaways that we promised. And I think, Pamela, I think that you've really provided just an amazing amount of information today. And I again, so appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And thank you guys for joining us today as well.
We'll be in touch.
Absolutely. I look forward to meeting you, by the way.
Absolutely. Cheers.